Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to our second Innovation in Disability Inclusion event. And now, let's kick off proceedings with the ICT for Inclusion Challenge Award Ceremony for 2022. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to this event celebrating the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, which takes place tomorrow on the 3rd of December. I'm Neil Milliken. For those that cannot see, I'm a middle-aged white male in a purple shirt with short hair, short beard, and pink glasses. I'm the Global Head of Accessibility here at Atos. Let me start by introducing my friend and colleague Bernd Schramm from the German Development Agency, GIZ for short. Bernd is the head of the GIZ Global Project Inclusion of Persons with Disabilities. Bernd and I have a shared passion for disability inclusion and innovation, and that is why in early 2021, Atos and GIZ came together for a first cooperation project. One of the main ideas behind this was to promote the narrative that barriers experienced by persons with disabilities can trigger innovation. The first cooperation project between Atos and GIZ was the highly successful ICT for Inclusion Challenge Africa 2021. Which we dedicated to the topic of inclusive education in the African continent. Our shared ambition for the ICT for Inclusion Challenge was, and still is, to unlock the potential to support disability inclusion through digital technologies. We aim to find and support local disability innovation and learn from people with disabilities in different world regions. Our goal is to discover solutions that work and scale, and take these to other contexts and geographies. After the successful completion of the ICT for Inclusion Challenge, our aim was to replicate this approach in a different context and with a different topic. This year, we focused on mitigating the impact of climate change on persons with disabilities and older people in India. The reason why we decided to focus on climate change and disaster risk reduction is that it is one of the most important and urgent topics of our times. Yet, persons with disabilities and older persons are often not considered in this context. Therefore, one of our aims was to raise awareness of the topic. Moreover, we wanted to identify and promote digital solutions to solve the challenges that these people face in the context of climate change. Finally, our desire is to create positive impact through the solutions that we find and support so that they can help to mitigate and reduce climate and disaster risks for these underrepresented groups.
Thank you, Neil, for your kind introduction and for the wonderful cooperation with your team. For this year's challenge, we have been able to extend our partnership beyond Atos and GIZ to two well-known organizations. We would like to thank Zero Project and Ability Foundation, who have been a great support in the whole process throughout the year. It's a fantastic cooperation. And we also set up an expert consultation group with a diverse pool of experts from the field of digitalization, disability inclusion, and climate change as an informal platform for expert engagement, consultation, and exchange around our ICT for Inclusion Challenge. Let me continue by outlining the different stages of the ICT for Inclusion Challenge India Edition 2022. We started with a 2-month application period in June this year, after which we screened and selected eligible solutions. In September, we conducted expert interviews with selected teams to identify our finalists. Some teams entered the Zero Project Impact Transfer Program. In November, these teams pitched their solutions in front of a high-ranking jury, and today we announce the winners of the ICT for Inclusion Challenge Award 2022. Let me add a few words to our amazing jury. We had a great mix of high-profile experts from the US, Europe, and India joining our jury. Of course, all our dear partners were represented. It was fantastic to have Zero Project, Ability Foundation, and the World Institute on Disability joining us. We also had the great pleasure to have a digital expert from the German Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development in the jury. Friederike Wagner from BMZ will give some important remarks later. Many thanks to all of you, dear colleagues and friends. Now let's look at the outcome of the challenge. I'm going to start with some key figures. We had over 11,300 views on our challenge website. More than 400 submissions were started, but unfortunately only 16 of those were eligible. We involved 10 high-ranking jury members from the organizations I mentioned earlier. In the end, we invited 7 teams for in-depth expert interviews. 3 teams entered the Zero Project Impact Transfer Program from our partner. And with that, I would like to hand back to my dear friend, Neil.
Thank you, Ed. Before we highlight some of the outcomes of this challenge, let me add a couple of reflections and insights. Digital innovations for inclusive climate change mitigation and inclusive disaster risk reduction have been a really neglected area. Nevertheless, we chose this topic for our challenge because we believe it is important. We found that there were very few mature solutions, which point to a gap in advanced, ready-to-use solutions in this field. And that's why we highly appreciate the innovators' engagement in this challenge. Finally, some of the solutions did not meet our criteria because the combined topic seemed to be highly complex. Many applications were missing either a digital aspect, a disability focus, or a clear-cut climate change or DRR focus. We still see this experience as positive. And going forward, we support our winning teams with mentorship prizes and through joining the Zero Project Impact Transfer Program to advance their solutions. We hope that this support will help further their maturity so that they can better contribute to mitigating the impact of climate change and disasters on people with disabilities. Thank you all for joining us today. We will now move on to some more inspiring inputs. After this, we will present to you the winners of the ICT for Inclusion Challenge Award 2022. I would like to introduce Ms. Friederike Wagner, who is the Senior Policy Officer and Deputy Head of the Division ICT Sector, Creative Industries, Culture and Sports at the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, also known as BMZ. She is also responsible for the political initiative Make IT Alliance, of which we are proud to be members. Over to you, Ms. Wagner.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to be part in this event, which takes up 3 central topics that the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development prioritizes in its work: combating climate change, the inclusion of everybody in social, political, and economic life, and fostering digital transformation to achieve these ambitious goals. Tomorrow, on December 3rd, we celebrate the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. This day was established to promote the rights and well-being of persons with disabilities in all spheres of society. In 2019, our ministry has adopted a comprehensive strategy to ensure that persons with disabilities are considered in all areas of German development cooperation. And this year, our Minister Svenja Schulze has announced a paradigm shift and has introduced feminist development policy as a key strategic priority within German development policy. This approach puts the equal participation of all people in social, political, and economic life at the center of our activities. I want to stress that disability does not mean inability. Inclusion and diversity enrich the entire society. But to achieve this, we need to change our perceptions and actions. Today, every 6th person in the world has at least one disability. In 2050, it is expected that a total of 3.5 billion people worldwide will rely on assistive technology. If we take this into account, we should no longer see disability inclusion as nice to have. Instead, we must understand that the inclusion of these 15% of the world's population is a requirement for a fair and progressive future. Disability inclusion is a driver for the economic and overall welfare of entire societies. It provides market opportunities for entrepreneurs around the world, including our partner countries. What do I mean by this? Persons with disabilities can only partake in the labor market if the workplace is accessible. Additionally, they will only spend their income on goods that are accessible. On the other hand, accessibility innovations can benefit everybody and enhance mainstream products and services. In this context, especially digital technologies enable effective ways to create such accessible solutions. For instance, previous IT innovations like the email in the 1990s or speech recognition technology were initially created for people with hearing or sight impairments. Nowadays, these solutions benefit society at large and integral part of commercial digital products. Overcoming accessibility barriers with digital technologies is an important opportunity for innovation. Today, we are gathered virtually to celebrate the award ceremony of the second edition of the ICT for Inclusion Challenge implemented by Atos and GIZ. We at the Ministry commissioned GIZ for the second edition of the challenge, which promotes the inclusion of persons with disabilities in the face of climate change. Climate action and disaster risk reduction is a topic of high relevance and high awareness, but the needs of persons with disabilities are generally neglected in the discussion. Though recently the world leaders, including our Minister Svenja Schulze, have discussed in the COP27 on how we can reduce carbon emissions globally and simultaneously leave no one behind. This year's ICT for Inclusion Challenge puts discussions into actions and promotes digital solutions that tailor climate action and disaster risk reduction in India to the needs of persons with disabilities. In the process of the challenge, we have discovered that there are only little major digital solution in this field. It demonstrates even more the importance of this project. And today, we appreciate to have all the three finalists of the pitch event here with us. Now, we are eager to hear the innovators present their solutions, and I'm also sure that the innovators are eager to find out which team will receive this year's ICT for Inclusion Challenge Award. Before I leave the floor to Ms. Hoven, Managing Director at GIZ, let me thank our main cooperation partner Atos for hosting this great event and for restlessly driving disability inclusion. Atos is a valued partner of our ministry and long-term member to our Make IT Alliance, which implements public-private partnerships for socio-economic development around the world. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wagner. And now I'm delighted to be able to welcome Ms. Ingrid Gabriela Hoven, who is the Managing Director of GIZ since October 2020. She is a development economist, having spent more than 30 years of international experience with a strong focus on sustainability and climate issues, of course, very pertinent to our competition today. From 2010 to 2014, she served as a World Bank Group Executive Director representing Germany, and prior to that and afterwards, she held various high-level positions within BMZ. Thank you so much for joining us today, Ms. Hoven. I look forward to hearing your thoughts on the topics today.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, GIZ is a federal enterprise and an international service provider. We support the German government in the field of international cooperation for sustainable and inclusive development. It is my great pleasure to address you today at the award ceremony of the ICT for Inclusion Challenge India Edition 2022. Tomorrow we celebrate the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. That means we celebrate diversity, we celebrate inclusion, and we celebrate this year's topic, transformative solutions for inclusive development, the role of innovation in fueling an accessible and equitable world. This topic could not fit better to what we are doing successfully for the second time together with our partner Atos in the ICT for Inclusion Challenge. We do inspire and support inclusive innovation, mainstream disability innovation, and unleash its potential to contribute to an accessible and equitable world. You may ask, but why do we do that in the area of climate change? The answer is simple. Because it is needed. Climate change is a pressing concern and the climate crisis is increasing. Too often the 1.3 billion persons with disabilities worldwide are left out of the equation when it comes to climate change action, green transition, climate justice, and disaster risk reduction. We know that persons with disabilities have a higher risk of being struck by climate change-induced disasters. I went to Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt recently. At COP27, we discussed how we can solve the greatest challenge of our time. I was so delighted to see that we are not alone in addressing the topic of inclusive climate action. There were 7 side events at COP27 focusing on topics such as disability inclusion, food security, and localized financing for inclusive climate change adaptation. What we did this year together with our cooperation partners Atos, Zero Project, and Ability Foundation is something very, very new. There are few digital solutions available to mitigate the adverse impact of climate change on persons with disabilities. This is exactly why it is so important to do a challenge around this topic. We need to put climate action on the development agenda. We need to put inclusive climate action on the development agenda. We need to spark disability innovations not just for, but from our partner countries. The reason for this is easy. In the years to come, the impact of climate change will have multiplied already. And also, in 2050, 3.5 billion people globally will need assistive technologies. Let us understand that this is a twin challenge that we have to address at the same time, but it is also a twin opportunity that we should seize. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hoven. And now I'm going to hand over to my esteemed colleague, Nasir Sheikh, who is going to announce our runners-up.
Dear colleagues, for the subject that we have discussed today and we are discussing still, just to put some numbers around that, there are 1.3 billion people that are affected with some or the other disabilities. And this is worldwide. So 15% of the people of the world's population. And unfortunately, they are all to be found in the global southern countries. Due to this aging world population and disability acquired with growing age, over a period of time, you and I will also be affected by it. Disability inclusion and climate change impact impact mitigation as well as disaster risk reduction are not considered to be issues that are interconnected, but they very closely are. We believe that here as well as anywhere, digital technologies need to play their part in building a future where everybody is included. No one is left behind. Green tech startups and innovative solutions and the diverse aspects of climate change, the impact that it is going to be making are on the rise. Yet, the great majority of the solutions that are being created are not available to people who are really impacted by it. This year, ICT 4 challenge was focused on India, and being an Indian myself, it was great to be part of the journey and to be able to meet and work with a variety of different people, participants included, and very grateful to you as an audience. And I'm very pleased to announce that we had 400 applications in progress, out of which 16 were in the final submission. And after selection process, we have 3 teams who are the winners. And I'm here to announce the second winner of our competition. So I don't know, let me open the envelope. The award goes to Disability Rescue Management Systems, DRMS, with the team members Pramod Dabrase, Dr. Reena Shinde, Dr. Sumit Shinde, Dr. Somil Asher, Sushant Shinde. Congratulations to all of you, integrating ICT-based systems, processes, stakeholders, so as to reach out to people with disabilities in a shortest possible time by the click of a mouse, particularly in the high-risk countries. Phenomenal work. Thank you very much for this project. I congratulate you, and congratulations to the team winners, and thanks for your valuable contribution for providing this service to people with disabilities, especially during the time of disaster, and working and creating innovative solutions on risk reduction. With that, I pass it back to Neil. Thank you very much, as you are celebrating. Neil, over to you.
Now we have a short video for Team DRMS.
Hello friends, my name is Pramod Dabrase. I am leading on the Disability Rescue Management project in India. I would like to thank Team ICT for Inclusion Challenge for giving us this opportunity. Thank you.
Hi, this is Reena. I would like to thank all the team members of Inclusion Challenge, specifically Thomas, Paul, Jasmina and Vishal. Thank you so much.
Hi, this is Dr. Sumit Shinde from Team DRMS, and I would like to be thankful to ICT for Inclusive Challenge organizers team. Thank you.
Hi, this is Dr. Samil from Team DRMS India. I would like to thank the organizers for letting us present our innovative idea on such a global platform. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, this is Sushant from Team DRMS India. I am very much thankful to all of you for your guidance, support and training. Thanks a lot.
Team DRMS India.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that video. And now, I'd like to welcome our CEO for Germany, Udo Lübke, to make the final announcements about their awards.
Dear colleagues, I wish you a warm welcome to the ICT for Inclusion Challenge 2022. I would like to open with a quote from the well-known US-American politician Jesse Jackson. Inclusion is not a matter of political correctness. It is the key to growth. Especially in the actual times of climate crisis and warfare, we all need to grow, personally, as a society, and as the inhabitants of this planet. Innovation is one path to grow, and this is the reason why we have initiated this new challenge together with our partner GIZ. Our topic this year was mitigation the impact of climate change on people with disabilities. And I'm very pleased to announce that we are in a fortunate situation as we have 2 winning projects instead of only 1. Both use innovative digital technology to create inclusive services for people facing the effects of climate change. And I'm opening now the first envelope. The award goes to SwiftChat by Convergenius Digital India Services. SwiftChat is a multilingual conversational artificial intelligence chatbot for learning and development, raising the awareness of climate change, giving practical support and allowing actions in crisis. The certificate shows also the team participants, and it is signed both by Atos and GIZ, displaying the logos of all organizations involved. Now let's open the second envelope. The award goes to Shelter by Gorakhpur Environmental Action Group and Tatva Foundation. This project is an interactive artificial intelligence-enabled information access and social networking platform. It generates personalized alerts and mitigation strategies to support elderly people and people with disabilities, focusing 4 areas: self-learning, gamification, peer-to-peer engagement, and artificial and machine learning enablement. The certificate shows also the team participants. It is signed both by Atos and GIZ and displaying the logos of all organizations involved. So congratulations to the winners, and thank you for your innovative contribution to grow together. Thank you very much.
Now we have the short video from Team SwiftChat.
Hi everyone, this is Shivangi Jain, and I am the product owner of SwiftChat Bot Suite and head of the academic division at the Convergenius Group. Me and my colleagues at Team SwiftChat are very excited to be a part of the ICT4 Inclusion Challenge India 2022. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to showcase our product, SwiftChat Bot Suite for inclusive climate change action and disaster management. We look forward to bringing large-scale impact into the lives of the most vulnerable population of the world by leveraging the power of conversational AI and bot suite technology. Thank you.
And finally, the team video from Team Shelter.
My name is Shiraz Vaji, and I am from Gorakhpur Action Group located in northern India. We established this organization in 1975, and we have been working on environment and development related issues. Climate change, disaster management, and livelihood resilience are the main focus areas catering to small and marginal communities, small landholders and marginalized communities in northern part.
I am Nivani, and the foundation. We have been working on developing digital solutions for people impacted by climate change issues, especially we focus on working on climate change related issues as well as on disaster risk reduction related aspects. And we work with the most marginalized and economically vulnerable groups like women, children, elderly, the disabled, and similar sections of society.
Hello everyone, I'm from Tattva Foundation. We are a technology not-for-profit which works out of Lucknow in northern India. We are supporting GEH with digital expertise to develop the proposed solution. And Tattva aims to, or Tattva believes in seeing a society where everyone has access to quality and low-cost healthcare. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Devesh Pratap Singh. I work at Tattva Foundation, and we work to strengthen climate action, and we support people with technology. And here, on behalf of all the team members of CELTL, I would like to thank you A2S and ZIZ, and I will also like to thank you to ICT for Inclusion team members. Thank you. Thank you for providing us this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Before we head over to the roundtable discussion with Jürgen Menzer, Sumita and Beatrice, I'd like to share with you a bit about the prizes for these amazing teams. Third place team, Disability Rescue Management System, will receive €1,500. The two first place teams, SwiftChat and Shelter, will both receive €3,500. But this is not all. All of the teams have already joined the Zero Project Impact Transfer Program and will receive tailored mentorship and training for 5 months. In February 2023, the teams will have the opportunity to pitch their further developed solutions at the Zero Project Conference in Vienna, and I can tell you that this is a great conference and really worthwhile attending. What we're also offering, in addition to all of this, is membership for 2 members of each of the 3 teams to join the International Association of Accessibility Professionals and receive training towards the certificate, which is the CPACC, Certified Professional in Accessibility Core Competencies, so they can really build their knowledge and adapt their solutions to support people in the most accessible manner. So let me thank you all for joining us today for the wonderful first part of this event on this International Day of Persons with Disabilities, but don't leave us right now. We've only just started. So if you'd like to stay on with us and join us for the roundtable on innovation and disability inclusion. Next up on our agenda today is a roundtable on disability inclusion and innovation with partners of ours, Zero Project, and also the International Labour Organization. This is going to be hosted by my colleague, Beatriz González Mellides. We are proud to be working with both organizations, Zero Project on the ICT for Inclusion Challenge and the ILO as Vice Chair of their Global Business Disability Network in 2022, and we will be, as Atos, chairs of the GBDN in 2023. So, over to you, Beatrice.
Hi, welcome to the Roundtable Innovation and Disability Inclusion. This session hopes to achieve a change of mindset from legal compliance to the innovation aspects of disability inclusion. My name is Beatriz González Mellides. I'm also known as B. I'm the head of accessibility and digital inclusion in Central Europe. I'm a 40-year-old woman who's been told that I am too tall and too pale to be a Spaniard. I wear glasses and I am wearing an orange leather jacket with a purple t-shirt today. I have the pleasure to share this virtual roundtable with Sumita from Zero Project and Jürgen from ILO. Welcome, Sumita. Can you please say some words about yourself and the work you do at the Zero Project, please?
Sure. Thank you for the introduction, Beatrice. Hi, everyone. My name is Sumita, and I'm the Civil Society Manager with the Zero Project. Before I share a bit about what I do, I'd like to describe myself for a visually impaired audience. I'm a brown woman, fairly tall with black hair, wearing a green pullover. My role within the Zero Project is to work across 180 countries and their civil society organizations to connect them and build networks. We bring together people and innovations from around the world together to avoid having to constantly reinvent the wheel. We also believe that instead of everyone fighting for a piece of the pie, we want to make the pie bigger for everybody.
Thank you. Jürgen, from ILO, the International Labour Organization. Welcome and tell us about yourself and the work you do.
Yeah, thank you very much. Be happy to be here. And for accessibility purpose, let me just describe myself, my physical appearance. I'm a middle-aged white man with a beard, wearing a light blue shirt today, like I'm doing every time I'm in the office. I coordinate the ILO Global Business and Disability Network, which comprises more than 35 multinational enterprises, of course, also including Atos, as well as more than 30 national business and disability networks and a few non-business organizations with disability expertise. The whole idea of the ILO Global Business and Disability Network is to facilitate peer-to-peer exchange and learning among companies on disability inclusion and accessibility issues, with a focus on the employment of persons with disabilities, especially in low and middle income countries.
Thank you, Jürgen. I am very glad you two accepted our invitation to participate and talk about disability inclusion innovation. My first question, how was 2022 in terms of inclusive innovation within your organizations? Sumita?
2022 has been a big year for us and for many other organizations, I'm sure, especially coming out of the pandemic and going back to the office. Conferences are once again being held in large spaces and is now more important than ever before to ensure that we don't go back to how things were. The Zero Project's first and main priority is to ensure that disability innovation inclusion is present at every level, be it internal documentation or external communication. We believe that everything should be easily accessible. Speaking of conferences, we are also preparing for a hybrid conference in February 2023, where we're expecting over 900 people at the United Nations here in Vienna. And at the same time, also ensuring that our international audience is able to tune in online. Our hybrid models of communications and conversations does not end with just disability, but makes its way across the world to those who cannot make their way to Vienna.
What about you, Jürgen? What happened in 2022?
Yeah, thank you very much, B. I think I could address this question from two angles, talking about the ILO as an organization as a whole, as well as from the perspective of the ILO Global Business and Disability Network as a disability-specific project of the ILO. So when we look at the ILO as a whole, I think that 2022 has been the year in which we really managed to reap the benefits of the United Nations Disability Inclusion Strategy, which also applies to the ILO and came into effect 3 years ago. I mean, one must say that compared to the many company members of the ILO Global Business and Disability Network, the ILO as a whole is somewhat lagging behind in terms of disability inclusion practices. So that's why I'm very happy to see that my colleagues in the team have created a Disability Champions Network in the ILO, which includes colleagues from around the world in the headquarters and field offices, from different levels of hierarchy and from areas of work. And this Champions Network, I believe, is really key to changing our workplace culture in the ILO. When I look at the ILO Global Business and Disability Network as a disability-specific project of the ILO, I think in 2022, we started addressing intersecting identities of persons with disabilities much more than ever before. So talking about gender and age, when we look at the group of persons with disabilities. And we had started addressing emerging issues like disability inclusive procurement. Just a few days ago, we had the global annual conference of our network where we had a whole session discussing procurement. I think that's an important topic that many years, or not so many years ago, not many companies were working on, and we see a number of companies starting to work on disability inclusive procurement. Then we also address climate action. So looking at the interlinkages between climate action, disability rights, and employment. And also recently, a few weeks ago, we as network hosted a webinar on the use of artificial intelligence, so AI, in HR tech, which was very insightful. And B, you know, of course, that your colleague Neil Milliken presented in this webinar and was very well received. Thank you.
Yeah, Neil was there talking about some of the risks. I have another question. When we're talking about what happened in 2022, what are your organization's plans on innovations for 2023? Jürgen?
Yeah, as I said before, I think I can look at it from two angles, the ILO as a whole and the ILO Global Business and Disability Network. As for the ILO as a whole, we just got a new director general, so the highest official in our organization 2 months ago. And the ILO is going through a phase of restructuring. And at the same time, I think it's good and clear to see that the issues of diversity and inclusion will get much more attention and visibility in the ILO's work in general. Now, in the context of the ILO Global Business and Disability Network, first of all, I think it's important to say that we will benefit from Atos leadership in 2023, because Atos will become the chair next year. And I think issues like artificial intelligence, climate change will stay on our agenda and only will become more important.
Sumita, what about Zero Projects Innovation for 2023?
So 2023 is going to be an interesting one for us. Firstly, we are focusing on moving into spaces where we haven't been able to get a foot in before, in regions like Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. We are looking to also explore new spaces and new markets where incredible disability innovations are growing and scaling internationally. Next year is also the year where we bring together Indian innovations and stakeholders, both public and private, to come together and begin investing in impact solutions. We are also having more interesting conversations around impact investing and understanding how grassroots-led initiatives can amplify and also simplify in building international networks. So it's safe to say that 2023 is going to be an interesting one for us at the Zero Project.
And we can wait to see it. We are celebrating the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. How are your organizations ensuring that these innovations can be accessed by those who need them? Sumita?
IDPD is a huge celebration for us. We'll be taking the day to announce our new cohort of disability innovations that will be receiving our Zero Project Awards. And we'll also be working to ensure that these solutions have the right conversations and the connections to make it to market.
What about ILO, Jürgen?
Yeah, thanks, Bea. I think since this roundtable today is about innovation, let me take a step back and make a general remark. I think when we talk about innovation in the disability space and disability area, I think it's important to highlight that most companies still don't work on the inclusion of persons with disabilities. Even those companies that claim to work on diversity and inclusion issues, most of them don't work on the inclusion of persons with disabilities, or at least not explicitly. So I think, sadly, working on disability as a business in the business community is still somewhat considered an innovation. So I think we need to still promote and push that message. Disability needs to be part of any D&I work.
You just said it, Jürgen. Disability needs to be part of any D&I work, diversity and inclusion. There's also diversity and equity, and there's also diversity, inclusion, equity, and accessibility to make it more obvious that inclusion really includes everyone. Thank you. Can you both share with us a topic that you would love to see more inclusive innovations on? And you can also feel free to share your final remarks. Jürgen, please.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Bea. I think I already mentioned climate action, and I would like to see more innovation in this area, connecting climate action, disability rights, and issues of employment. And we have started this, as I said, in the Global Business and Disability Network and also at the ILO in general. I think it's one side is to, of course, mitigating the negative effects of climate change on persons with disabilities. And we know persons with disabilities are among those social groups that are hardest hit by climate change, but not only talk about, let's say, the humanitarian aspect of it, but also looking at what kind of opportunities does the green economy offer to persons with disabilities. Of course, especially looking at the employment of persons with disabilities in jobs emerging in the green economy. So we need to look at the right skilling and making employers that work in the green economy more aware of the benefits of diverse and inclusive workforces, including persons with disabilities. Final remark. I'm happy to announce and say that just a few days ago, we launched a new version of the self-assessment tool of the ILO Global Business and Disability Network. It is aligned with the charter of our network and its 10 principles, as well as with the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. The tool includes 47 questions in 4 domains, and you get a score as company in all of the 4 domains and an overall score. And this tool hopefully provides a robust framework for companies to assess how they are doing in different areas when it comes to the inclusion of persons with disabilities and accessibility, and shows them where to prioritize action and resources. So I encourage everybody who is from the business community today and listening in, please sit together with your colleagues from facility management, from procurement, communication, customer service. Check out the website of the Global Business and Disability Network, where you can download the tool and take the next step in your journey. Thank you.
Great invitation. Sumita, what's on your wish list?
Thanks, B. So my wish list is pretty simple. I would definitely want to see a lot more affordable pipelines in accessing assistive technologies. This past few years, I think it has shown us how persons with disabilities are disproportionately impacted during the pandemic. And while I think the disability community has been brilliant in developing affordable solutions, I think we can all do better in providing equal and equitable access to a lot of these solutions. Just as a final comment, in these days, our awardees are also being announced. So I do urge everyone listening in to head over to the Zero Project webpage, and you can use our database to find out the 70 new awardees that we'll be announcing for this year. And feel free to check them out and reach out to them. That's all we're here for, to connect people and build these networks around the world. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you both. I take with me networks, climate action, green economy impact on employment, and affordability pipelines to access assistive technologies, which are indeed much needed in the field. Thank you both so much for sharing your insights with us. It's been a real pleasure. Back to you, Neil.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Beatrice. Thank you, Jürgen. Thank you, Sumita. It was a fascinating discussion. And now I'd really like to welcome my colleagues for a discussion with Atos Adapt, focused on Purple Light Up. Of course, Purple Light Up was started by Kate Nash, the founder of Purple Space. It was designed to really bring together and celebrate people with disabilities. I'm fully branded today. I'm lighting up. I'm purple. And it seems appropriate that we would be having this discussion with our employee network, so Atos Adapt. So this discussion is going to be led by our Adapt chair, Nazir Ahmed, who is also our social value lead for the UK&I, with our two exec sponsors, Rocio Gaiano, who's VP for North America and Head of Alliances and Partners, and Nikki Kelly, who is our Head of Digital Northern Europe and APAC and Public Sector BDS and Digital Northern Europe. The discussion is going to focus on supporting employees with disabilities to build their inner confidence and bring their authentic selves to work. So over to you, Nazir, Rocio, and Nikki.
Hi everyone, my name's Nasir and I work as a social value lead at Atos, and I'm also the chair of our disability inclusion network, Adapt. Welcome to our leader to leader discussion. I'm very pleased to be joined by Rocio Gaiano and Nikki Kelly today, and we'll be discussing the importance of building inner confidence. I'll now hand over to Nikki to introduce herself.
Hi everyone, delighted to be here. My name is Nikki. I'm currently the SVP for Public Sector and Defence across Northern Europe and the Head of Digital for Northern Europe, as well as the Executive Sponsor for Adapt. I'm also a mum, a grandmother, and have 3 neurodiverse children.
Thanks for that, Nikki. And now, Rocio, if you could also introduce yourself, that would be great.
Yes, thank you, Nasir. I'm Rocio Gajano. I'm based in Miami, Florida. I am the proud executive sponsor for Atos Adapt Network for Americas. I'm currently the VP of Global Partner Ecosystem for Atos Healthcare and Life Sciences. And I'm honored to be here. Also a very proud mom of a lawyer with Asperger's.
Thank you both for being here today. And so today, as mentioned, we're going to talk about building inner confidence. This is an important topic because through leading the Disability Inclusion Network, I've learned that it can often be a lack of personal disability confidence combined with having to manage disability alone at work that frequently hampers our careers and risks damaging our mental and physical well-being. I know from my personal experiences with long-term mental health conditions, lack of confidence initially prevented me from seeking support. But by building my confidence, I'm now in a position where I can not only support myself, but encourage others to build that confidence and seek support. I was really looking forward to having this discussion with you both. So I wanted to know from your perspectives as leaders in our organization, what is your view on inner confidence? Why is it important? And what are some ways people can build it? Rocio, I'll come to you first with this question.
Perfect. Well, to me, the inner confidence gives each of us the feeling of trusting in ourselves, and because we are usually judging ourselves, and it's critical for our mental well-being. Without a positive inner confidence, that can be impactful in our personal and professional life. It's extremely important to take care of ourselves. And one of the things that sometimes we miss is to separate that time in our agenda to exercise, to meditate, to do the things that we love in life in order to build our inner confidence and feel good about ourselves. And let's not make the mistake to feel that that is a selfish act because we're taking, let's say, 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there, just to relax. But if we don't do that, loving ourselves, we're not going to be able to build that inner confidence and support others.
Thanks for that, Rocio. And yeah, absolutely. Self-care is so important to inner confidence and so connected to well-being. I wanted to know what your thoughts are, Nikki, on inner confidence and how people can develop it.
So for me, inner confidence is what helps us to seize opportunities and try new things. And perhaps even more importantly, if things don't work out immediately, to learn from the experience and try again. My tips for building inner confidence are to accept that you're not perfect. Know what your strengths are and make sure that you use them. Build strategies to manage the areas where you are not so strong. And find people who inspire you and help build your confidence. And make sure you spend regular time with them. Ask yourself, what is the worst thing that can happen? And then move forwards.
Thanks, Nikki. I love the what's the worst thing that can happen question. It's a really powerful way to overcome ourselves and take on challenging situations. And yeah, thanks both for your thoughts. Clearly from what you've said, inner confidence is important in not only supporting our development, but also in being able to support oneself and others, contributing to well-being. I wanted to know from your perspectives the role Adapt plays in helping people build their inner confidence. What are some examples of things that really stood out to you? Nikki, feel free to share your thoughts on this first, and then Rocio, if you could share your thoughts after, that would be great.
So for me, it's about feeling comfortable in your own skin, not being scared to be a little bit vulnerable, and starting with the view that everyone comes to work to do a great job, so help them. And I think the Adapt Network are great at facilitating this through the Adapt Roundtable talks. These talks provide a forum for our colleagues to talk openly about their health conditions, disabilities, and in turn develop their storytelling ability, but also inspiring confidence in others to do the same. Being able to talk openly without fear of judgment is a crucial element of developing confidence in my experience. It's just great to see how supportive Adapt are as a community and how open they are to people reaching out for support.
I agree with you, Nikki, 100%. I also think that building our brand and networking internally and taking the time to find the right mentor that is a great fit for you is extremely important. One example that I have seen on how Adapt can support others internally is that we are facilitating programs and support groups enabling people to talk to other employees that had a similar situation, seeing that you're not alone, and that there are others that had dealt with similar challenges can help the confidence in ourselves. Also, learning from other Atos employees is key. In fact, from other outside third parties, we are integrating and leveraging their best practices on how we can expand that network. And we're doing that with one of our partners, Dell Tech, trying to apply and also replicate some of their best practices as they use it with through Ability. There is always great to have that communication in order to build your inner confidence and overcome those challenges.
Absolutely. No, thanks both, Nikki and Rocio. Not surprisingly, I also agree with all of the points you both made. Encouraging support, educating and creating dialogue and learning from each other are super important. As a network, our aims are made up of 3 core pillars, and those are to educate people around disabilities through providing platforms to for our colleagues with lived experience to speak. The second one is around collaborating with other employee resource groups and highlight intersectionality, and ultimately using our collective voice to drive change. And I think through the activities that you both mentioned, this influences inner confidence of our members in our network and colleagues in the wider organization. Now, moving on to our last question, I think it would be good to understand from yourselves how organizations can support employees with disabilities to bring their authentic selves to work. We can switch up again. So, Rocio, please feel free to give us your thoughts first on this one, followed by yourself. Thanks, Nikki.
Sure. For me, it's all about having the culture within an organization that highlights to employees that we care about inclusion for all people, and to have a safe environment, and the most important, supportive environment. We have created different programs, provisioning, and we continue to evolve on the network to support our employees. But creating the safe environment part is only part of the puzzle. And one of the most important things that we realize, not only for this network group, is also for other network groups, is the communication. Our employees networks have played a key role on how we can improve and how can we support each other. So we have sessions just as this one with senior leaders, and many other they are more RBU centric. So the important thing here is that this is a two-way conversation. We need your support. We need you to participate in these sessions and give us all your feedback, because here is a safe environment without any judgment. So the important thing that we're encouraging you is to continue to evolve and have take the advantages on this specific network.
Completely agree with you, Rocio. The dialogue between organisations and employees is paramount to fostering authenticity from colleagues. For me, I also think role models play a massive part in helping employees to bring forward their most authentic selves. Representation at all levels within the organisation can help to inspire people due to their journeys and act as a way to show how they have managed to be authentic and successful at Atos. We have amazing role models here at Atos, and the Adapt network and our internal teams are great at promoting it. It sends a strong and aspirational message to people when they can see someone like themselves thriving. One other thing I would repeat from what I mentioned previously is that awareness is so important. We need to keep pushing initiatives such as the round table talks and make a concerted effort to educate ourselves. The initiatives work to a certain level. However, without all of us making the effort to educate, develop and support ourselves and others, we won't be able to be the most inclusive organisation that we all know we can be. And finally, we need to pay particular attention to measures to increase representation and measure the impact of our initiatives on our employee population. Listening, showcasing and driving continuous improvement are fundamentals that organisations should focus on to drive authenticity and inclusion.
Thank you so much, Nikki, and Rocio for your time today. It's been great to hear your reflections on this topic of inner confidence. We've covered some top tips on developing confidence, how it can be facilitated through challenging yourself and networking with others. And finally, we've touched on your views on how organizations can encourage authenticity. And I just want to say that it's amazing to have leaders like yourselves championing inclusion. So yeah, thanks also to our audience for listening to us today. And that's all from us on this discussion. Take care all, and thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rocio, Nikki and Nazir, for a great discussion. It's days like these that really bring the community together. And in fact, it was an event like this that really brought together myself and one of my colleagues to really kickstart our program. And we're going to be looking at our accessibility and digital inclusion policy program at Atos right now, talking about how we're moving from global to local impact. And I'm delighted to be able to welcome Diane Galb, our Senior Executive VP of the group, Alex Snooper, who is SVP and Head of Global Corporate Social Responsibility, and welcoming back also Nazir Sheikh, SVP, Head of Human Resources for Atos India. So, joining them and moderating is my colleague Alexander Nutnagel, who came to work for me as a direct result of one of these events. So, talking about disability inclusion and making it real. Over to you all.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone from Atos headquarters in France. I am Alexandra Notnagel, a white woman in her mid-30s wearing a business robe with purple collar to mark the occasion of the International Day of Persons with Disabilities and Purple Light Up today. I am the program manager of the Atos Global Accessibility and Digital Inclusion program that puts all our policies into action. So, organizational change, management and projects to deliver accessibility and digital inclusion are my daily business in Atos since 2021. Being a person with lived experience myself, accessibility and digital and disability inclusion became my passion as profession. Today, our program celebrates its second year, and I wish to celebrate and shed some purple light on the various teams, efforts, and the projects linked to the implementation of Atos Accessibility and Digital Inclusion Policy. We have 3 speakers with us today. To start with, I am honored to welcome Diane Galb with me, our Senior Executive Vice President in charge of Atos Group's transformation and support functions. Bonjour, Diane.
Bonjour. First, it's an honor for me to be here. So, merci, Alexandra, and good morning from Paris. So, this is Diane Galb speaking, a white blonde woman wearing a business attire. So, I'm very happy and honored again to be with you today for this very special occasion of the International Day of Persons with Disabilities and our ICT for IC award ceremony. As you know, I've joined the company earlier this year, and I have to say that I'm very proud and impressed by our 2 years of ICT for Inclusion Challenge partnership with our dear partners, BMZ and GIZ. I sent my warmest congratulations to the 3 winning teams, Swift-Shaft, Shelter and Disability Rescue Management System, to India for their work to mitigate climate risks on persons with disabilities. So thanks to the contribution of all teams in this challenge, we can say that together with our partners, we respected the theme of International Day of Persons with Disabilities, asking to work on and speak about transformation solutions for inclusive development and the role of innovation in fueling an accessible and equitable world.
I also welcome, thank you, Diane. I also welcome Alexandra Knuppe, our Senior Vice President and Head of Group Corporate and Social Responsibility. As Head for Corporate Social Responsibility, Alexandra orchestrates and manages all sustainability programs. In this role, she steers the accessibility program. Alexandra firmly believes that sustainability must become a competitive advantage and that digital innovation can make a significant contribution to sustainability. Alexandra follows a clear direction. Digital technologies can contribute to a sustainable society. Willkommen, Alex.
Danke, Alexandra, and good morning, guten Tag from Germany. Hello, everyone. This is Alexandra Knuppe speaking. I'm speaking from the north of Germany. It's quite cold here, and I'm wearing a thick jacket. I'm a white woman with brown hair and a quite dark voice. Accessibility being a regular topic in my CSR work. So I'm very pleased to be with you today and to be with you for this event. CSR covers 3 dimensions: environment, social, and governance. And today we have the pleasure to talk about all 3 dimensions. So I also wish to send my greetings and congratulations to the winning team of ICT for Inclusion Challenge. And I had the pleasure to meet them and get to know them better as I was a member of the jury. Especially the topic of inclusive disaster risk reduction convinced me deeply, a topic to be considered in e-governance and around the world.
Thank you, Alex. Last but not least, I welcome Nazia Shaikh, our Senior Vice President and Head of Human Resources in India. Namaste, Nazia.
Namaste to everybody. Thank you for inviting me here. And I have a very interesting role. I'm based in India. I'm in my office in Navi Mumbai. And I'm an Indian man by heritage, dark hair, wearing glasses. And very happy to be here. I think Diane and Alexandra have already covered the purpose of us being here. I wish to thank the panelists, the coordinators, the participants of this entire program, and to Atos, because of which we are making this happen today. So thank you. Thank you.
Executive sponsorship in companies is key to the success of the transformation to an inclusive company. What is your opinion with regards to accessibility and digital inclusion, Jan?
Well, accessibility and digital inclusion are important for Atos, for its employees and for its customers, because it enables a greater inclusivity. And digital accessibilities enable access to information and services and products for everyone without barriers. And responsibility for accessibility should not solely, I would say, be the preserve of the experts, but it requires wider awareness, attention, and appreciation. And it is important to note that accessibility measures benefit not only people with disabilities, but lead to increased well-being, enablement of better working conditions for all employees, whilst from an organizational point of view, it also ensures compliance. So accessibility services support also older people and people with disabilities not to be left behind, whether they are our employees or our customers. And in Atos, we work together in a connected ecosystem on the important topic of accessibility, collaborating with social partners like Valuable 500 in initiatives like Generation Valuable, as well as International Labour Organization Business Disability Network, also Business Disability Forum, and the We the 15 movement. We also work with our employee resource groups like Atos Adapt and different regional NGOs or development agencies like the German GIZ. So a wide ecosystem. And we believe that accessibility and digital inclusion are founded on collaboration and joint efforts, as well as business partnerships to maximize impact. And I must say that the panel you have today, you will see in the Q&A going forward all the passion of the Atos employees on such an important topic.
Thank you, Diane, for your participation to the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexandra.
Alex, can you respond from your CSR perspective? What makes a good senior executive sponsor?
Sure. Thank you, Alexandra. Thank you for the question. So I think, first of all, it's very important to get attention for the topic. And so as an executive sponsor, it's the duty to align stakeholders, to align all interested parties and gain attention. Then, very important, support knowledge sharing. So in our context here, so what is the contribution to digital for accessibility? What does accessibility means? So where are gaps? What need to be supported? So knowledge, increase information. And then finally, I think it takes some structure. Because if you're following specific programs, you want to set targets, you want to set KPIs, you need some reporting to be transparent, to let everybody know what's done in a specific program and what should be achieved. So in a summary, attention, recognition, appreciation in a little structure.
Thank you, Alex. Now, going to Nazia, Senior Vice President of HR India. You said that you are a passionate leader with a strong character, work ethics, and global experiences in human resources management, and having lived and worked in US, Africa, Europe, Malaysia, and now India. This gives you a rich experience in cultural diversity. Let us know in a few words what accessibility and disability inclusion links to your passion and current leadership role.
Thank you very much. I think it's a very nice introduction. I'm humbled. I do have the experience of having worked globally with people from different cultures. However, we've gathered over here on a subject which is it's just cutting across all the industries. And since we belong to the IT industry, I wanted to take a few minutes about talking about the nature of the work and the subject on hand. So I personally believe that the nature of our work in IT and the business that we do requires a lot of banding and disbanding of teams constantly. And that is at the heart of what is it that we do for our customers. Now, in banding and disbanding, you have people who are coming in with different skills, understanding, contributing to an objective, delivering that, and then moving away and joining for another place in which they are required. So if we are to look at this and take a seat back, the first thing that is very, very necessary for you to do is to have an infrastructure which is world-class. Not just the infrastructure, but also the tools that are required for you to be able to engage with this community, to be able to make easy for them to be able to perform and join their teams who are working along with them, making them independent. Next point, I think that we forget as a person, and you asked me about my passion. I think more than my passion, I bring my compassion to the table when I'm looking at this. I bring in my thinking happen in working with different teams. Because when you're including people with special abilities into a team, you also need to sensitize and work with everybody for them to understand that when you're bringing in a person with special abilities, what is it that you need to do in order for them to be adopted seamlessly, uniformly, and to get productive faster. So with that, I pass it back to you.
Thank you, Nazia. Alex, now, in corporate social responsibility, which you are leading for the group, which importance has the accessibility and digital inclusion policy and program for achieving your CSR goals on global level?
Thank you, Alexandra. Thank you for the question. So indeed, a very big importance. So as already mentioned, accessibility is actually part of the S and the G in ESG. So corporate social responsibility covers these three scopes: social governance and environment. And it's very important to cover areas of education, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility in the S, so for social activities, and in governance activities as well. So, and accessibility and digital inclusion is directly linked to two of the sustainability development goals. So the so-called SDGs, and Atos tries to comply and tries to support sustainability development goals. So there is the SDG 4, quality and education. So we aim to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. And we want to ensure our employees are trained in the necessary skills to carry out this mission. In 2022, just over 100,000 digital certifications were completed by our staff. And in 2022, many of our accessibility experts got certified by International Association of Accessibility Professionals. We launched an all-employee training on accessibility and digital inclusion, available in 5 languages, and we are building a global champions community. So with this accessibility program, we work on new processes to procure accessibility and inclusive training from our service providers. This is a challenge, as in many regions, we must count on the availability of such accessible trainings, services adapted to our business needs, and there are still big gaps on this market to be filled, with offerings that comply with our requirements. So let me mention the second SDG, which is the SDG 8, decent work and economic growth. So we aim to promote sustained, inclusive and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment and decent work for all. So here I wish to remind the joint Atos GIZ ICT for Inclusion Challenge that was focused on inclusive education for persons with disability in Africa, but also the Zone 01 training campuses in Senegal. In 2022, our group talent management programs for our talents called Fuel and Gold included sessions on accessibility and digital inclusion. And we combined accessibility with environmental goals in our eco branding, having accessible and decarbonized dark mode in our media. And our global accessibility and digital inclusion governance won the Zero Project Award in 2022. So all in all, I think a lot of activities to be proud.
Thank you, Alex. Now, after having learned about global CSR from Alexandra Knuppe, I know that Atos India has also undertaken lots of activities within the corporate social responsibility scope. Nazia, let us know more about which of these CSR activities linked to disability inclusion were near to your heart in 2022.
Well, I think Alexandra covered it very well on what is it that we are trying to do internally. The journey of CSR, and especially on this topic, takes a longer time because it's social in nature. It has community at the heart of it. And what we do, we need to do it dispassionately. We need to make sure that it has equal bearing on multiple facets of this complex topic. And one thing that I've always remembered, just to include one small part of the internal organization, because it's organization behavior, the impact of it needs to go and seep into the pyramid of the organization as you execute these projects, not just internally, but externally. So now coming to our external world, the journey has started several years back, but what we still continue on. First is a work of working with mute children from poor neighborhoods in India and understanding the fact that their mutism is coming in from the fact that they are hearing impaired. So we try to solve that by working in the last 3 or 4 years in helping them understand as to the sound that they're hearing from the hearing aids that we are giving to them through our CSR efforts, as to how does that sound convert to a language, and how is it that they can build those small syllables into a word that they can speak. And I have personally seen the impact of that. Second is about the work that we have done, where we have found an innovative chair in the market that somebody innovated, where a person who has lost their limbs can sit on it and pull certain levers to stand up. Just the activity for a person who has lost their limbs, lower limbs, to stand up means mobility, giving them a higher amount of things that they are able to do. Coming from there, we have created a facility in which we are making children with mental disabilities to be able to become self-dependent and use certain tasks physically in order for them to do their daily chores. There's another project that we have done in Bangalore where we have identified women who are suffering from polio, to whom we have given wheelchairs, we've given them sewing machines in order for them to earn a living from that. And last but not the least is the work that we have done again this year across India, where we have given 425 to 430 artificial limbs at the top of the body, and the lower limbs that people have lost, we've given them artificial link. And for that, just yesterday, we have received an award from the Indo-French Chamber of Commerce and the French ambassador in India that we have received.
Congratulations to the award, Nazia, and thank you for the testimonies about the different cases that you shared. I can confirm that such observations can create passion. So accessibility work, being closely linked to CSR, has always been passion for most people in our team. And if it wasn't originally observing the awesomeness of its impact ensures and that it becomes a passion. Once you start producing accessible content, you won't stop anymore. Alex, what do you wish to comment on Nazia's statement from before, and on the fact, is it also passion in the CSR team that you have?
Yes, for sure. And first, I would like to thank Nazir, because I know that he does a lot of support on top of all his obligations. So this is definitely passion. I'm blessed that I can work with Diane, because I know that Diane is really passionate about this topic, corporate social responsibility, including accessibility. Working with you, Alexandra. So yes, definitely passion. So let me be realistic. Corporate social responsibility needs structure, needs reporting, needs monitoring. It becomes a serious topic because you need to provide KPIs, you need to provide targets. But, and this is something I really enjoy, it's indeed always connected with passion. It's always connected with sustainable targets, with hard work towards sustainability. So, and I'm really blessed to have all these people around me that support corporate social responsibility for Atos. And honestly, it's always about the team. So it's the team, it's the community. So this is a good opportunity actually to say thank you to all these people that are supporting CSR and accessibility here in the organization and in our wider community. So, Alexandra, as we're talking about, people, programs, support, what are the highlights of the Accessibility Digital Inclusion Program you led with a perspective from global to local impact? Please share some examples.
Thank you, Alex, for the questions. So let me share some highlights of 2022 of Accessibility Program, which is, the first part is for sure the launch of our first all-employees training course on policy and program. which is available in French, Spanish, Portuguese, English, and German. This will allow to build a wider awareness that we need to embed accessibility in the daily activities of everyone, for example, when creating digital documents and presentations, or when communicating with colleagues and customers. Even if on local levels concepts and languages of disability are very diverse, we've decided to adopt the UN definition of disability, defining it as an interaction between an individual with an impairment and the environment. And thus we recommend to use person's first language, which is explained in the course. I wish to thank here our highly engaged HR inclusive employee experience program team around Susanna Azores, who allowed us to build this training. The team also built a global community of local HR ambassadors for disability inclusion, analyzed local processes that will complement with a global provision of assistive technologies to employees in need where we identify gaps. The second highlight is the continuous growth of the capacity to deliver accessibility services regionally. We have in 2022 6 local heads of accessibility for France, Iberia, Central Europe, India GDC, and North America, in addition to the longer established team, which is in UK and Northern Europe. With over 50 accessibility experts, around 100 colleagues enrolled in the Accessibility Champions program Alex mentioned before, across diverse services, and in addition, around 140 contributors to the accessibility program, including the local HR ambassadors network, we are accelerating our efforts. It's a huge team, a growing team, and we won't stop. Everyone in the company is welcome to join accessibility program efforts. To maximize the benefit of local expertise, our accessibility team ran our first multilingual Global Accessibility Awareness Day last May with a mix of globally oriented sessions and sessions in local languages, in French, German, Spanish, and English, in Austria, Switzerland, Germany, France, Iberia, UK, and Ireland and India, with local sessions on site. At last, we are proud that accessibility as a service, our partner offering with Microsoft, to deliver accessible and inclusive modern workplace experiences, was recognized as finalist in Inclusion Champion Maker Award. I have the trophy with me here on the table in front of me. Yeah. We will continue building upon the increasingly ubiquitous accessibility features with Microsoft 365 to deliver assistive technology support that is proactive and managed in line with evergreen IT across the enterprise. Our approach is to support users across the totality of the business ecosystem and supplements technology know-how with a range of supporting services, such as training, mentoring, and organizational change management. We focus on ensuring everyone has the opportunity to realize their full potential at work. Having introduced more generally the global to local impact, let us go back to Asia and India. What are the 2022 highlights from Atos India for rolling out accessibility and the digital inclusion program in business, and how can India GDC support to scale accessibility services from your point of view?
Brilliant. And Alexandra, thank you so much. Just by listening to you for the last few minutes, gives me so much of joy to know that we've got so many people from around different cultures in the world who've joined into this journey and making it all successful. And Alex, thank you for your leadership. Diane, thank you for your leadership. In India, of course, we are an extension of that same enthusiasm. We have Vishal Pujar, who's our head of accessibility, who's driving this entire thing. To speak a few of his achievements, I think we are currently working with the client managers to work with the customers in order for us to be able to provide certain specific services that are coming in from this community. In order for us to be able to even enhance the capability within our teams, we are creating training programs which are going to be effective and which is going to be used when we grow the number of people who are coming in to join us. We are hiring such people. We are introducing them into the teams, and like I spoke earlier, that we are also facilitating the introduction of people into different teams so that they understand as to what are some of the adjustments that we will have to make in processes, tools, and work styles in order for us to be delivering the service to the customer as a team. I'll give you very specific examples and won't take more than 30 seconds. We called interns, so we got people with disabilities as interns into the organization, introduced them, got them to understand as to how is it that we are working in the company, in an IT company, and they took that experience with them. We specifically did a program for the visually disabled people. So we went to a blind school and we had them attend our cybersecurity workshop, because today not everybody is using mobile phones, and people need to be aware as to what are the kind of things and risks that they are susceptible to, and we intend to continue this particular journey. So although there's many things to talk about, but with the shortage of time, I hand it over to you back, Alexandra. Thank you for asking that question.
Thank you, Nazir. Continue to grow capacity by diversifying the workforce, including persons with disabilities. That's obviously messages that I can only congratulate you for as HR lead in India. Also, other entities, for example, in Liberia, have decided to hire more persons with disabilities and got good job recognition for this last year. Indeed, supporting the self-identification and growing the population of employees with disabilities on a global scale is a target of the program, next to ensuring with a global budget and process to be able to deliver assistive technologies to our employees. To conclude today's session, I'd wish to know from all of you, what are your expectations on accessibility and digital inclusion program for 2023? Nazir, can you start?
Yeah, of course. I'm raring to go on this because, as I said, that it's a longer term objective, and that we need to do and meet that by not just acting in one area, but also investing on multiple facets of it. So let me state that today the programs that we are doing is by including people who are already leaders into that area, accepting the fact that there are people out there who have an advanced experience of working in this area. We've started taking help from their side. And by doing so over these years, we ourselves have built certain competencies that we don't mind sharing it with people. So first objective is that we be the people who represent this objective and initiatives and share it with people in the industry. Second, I think that we need to create more examples, the examples that I gave you, that we are hiring people who are coming on internships and working for short cycle and going back. This creates a lot of confidence among the people with the different disabilities, that they can come into a professional work environment and have tools and technology today that is assisting them, which at the training level, at an education level, that they are not aware of. And third and last, and I'll let Alex speak more about this, is the fact that internally the introduction of sensitizing people to adopting more and more number of people with different disabilities to bring into the organization is a never-ending task. And that is my objective, that we would continue to bring in more functions, more types of roles to the forefront, so that we are able to offer that to the people out there, talented people, so that we are able to give them the job opportunity and create a more diversified workforce. Alex, over to you.
Thank you, Nazir. And actually, you did my summary. Thank you very much. So there's, I think, to achieve what Nazir just summarized, thank you, is indeed what I said: more knowledge, more information, more transparency, what's done, and you know, in general, get people together and exchange information. And then, of course, what is the role of digital? Yeah, so we need to investigate further and build further solutions using digital skills, digital expertise to support accessible targets, CSR targets. So I think this is thrilling. This is a real opportunity to think about all these digital opportunities to support this topic. Thank you.
So my expectation as the program lead to everyone listening here is really that the understanding is created that accessibility is not taken care of by someone else or just a specific department. Accessibility is the job of everyone in daily life, at work, but also outside. Everyone can change behavior and create also accessibility without technology. But assistive technology, it's an enabler for cultural change, but it can't happen without people. We can give the best technology to people, but it only works together. So I hope that for next year, the awareness with the trainings we provide will rise, and that everyone will find a small part to adapt to make our ecosystem more inclusive. And now I wish to thank you all for your participation to this panel discussion. And let's percolate up and hand back for the event closure to our Global Head of Accessibility, Dil Billiken. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deanne, Alex, Nasir, and Alexandra. And in fact, thank you everyone, because this has been a great event. Thank you for participating in the event, but also for participating in our programs and our joint ventures and all of the work that we're doing here. For me, it's gratifying to see so many people coming together, working on these topics, and to see the impact of technology for inclusion. Whilst we're saying goodbye now, it's not goodbye for long. We're going to be back next year. We'll be working on more things, and I hope you will join us on our journey as we use technology and culture to drive forward inclusion. Thank you so much.